Hey guys, I'm your host, Tara A. Devlin, and welcome to this week's episode of Kowabana, true Japanese scary stories from around the internet. Kaihan, Bizarre Crimes That Shook Japan Volume 2 is now out. If you're interested in learning more about some of the most bizarre, strange, and even terrifying crimes that have taken place in Japan over the last few decades, then make sure to grab your copy now. You can find 25 new cases of missing persons, unsolved mysteries, and truly bizarre crimes that still confuse people today. That's Kaihan, Bizarre Crimes That Shook Japan Volume 2, out now. Well, it's here. Our 200th episode. I started this show all the way back in 2017, and it's honestly crazy to me that we've come this far. Whether you've been here for one episode or all 200 episodes, I'd like to say a big and genuine thank you. Thank you for choosing to spend some or a lot of your time with me in this show. It means the world to me, and it's because of you that Kowabana is still going. And I hope we can continue for a long time to come yet as well. To celebrate this milestone, we're doing a story I've honestly been wanting to work on for a while now. It's a somewhat longer story, so I hope you enjoy this slightly longer than normal episode. But this one is particularly beloved by Japanese audiences because of the relationship and dialogue between the two main characters. These two boys live in a village with, it seems, a dark history and secret they're about to uncover. When they stumble upon a shrine one day, they dig up something that perhaps should have best been left untouched. But it's too late for that now. What really happened in their village long ago? And does the remnants of that horrifying past still linger there, even now? Find out in Soncho. It was the most countryside of the countryside. The village I was born in long ago combined with the neighbouring villages, and now it's simply one small area of a larger whole. This story takes place when it was still called something something village. It was the summer of my 6th year of elementary school. One day, I went exploring the mountains surrounding the village with my friend, called Soncho. As for why we all called him that, well, to be frank, he was the grandson of the village chief, and so we called him Soncho. But being the village chief's grandson didn't mean that he was extremely serious or anything like that. In fact, if I had to say one way or the other, he was a bit of a delinquent. He was the type of guy who, if he saw a no entry sign, he'd be like, "Let's go in there later." I loved him to death and always followed him around. There's no concrete roads or anything. Hey, do you know what an animal trail is? It's a trail that dangerous animals like bears and tanuki use. Let's climb up that today. Soncho's shoes were old and worn out, his heel poking out a hole in the back of them. So when we reached the mountain, he took them off and went barefoot. Of course, he wasn't wearing any socks. "Soncho, are you really gonna climb the mountain barefoot? It's dangerous. You'll hurt yourself." "Ah, you're always like that. You're the type who'll wait at a red light even if there aren't any cars around. Gramps says that's no good for your risk management skills." "My what now?" I don't know either. It's some grown-up term." Soncho knew a lot of words that the grown-ups used. He heard them while he was with his grandfather, the village chief. But because he only ever heard them once, he didn't really know what they meant. "All right, I'll go barefoot too." "Good. We're gonna use the animal trails, so you might injure yourself if you wear shoes." If that was what he said, then that was probably how it was. I was wearing socks, but there was a hole by the big toe. So I ripped them open even more and put them on my arms. Kind of like what we call arm warmers now. What do you think, Soncho? I'm ready. Ha! That looks cool. I'll have to try it myself sometime. Your parents will get angry though. We both laughed, and then we left the concrete path to take the mountain trail. This wasn't the animal trail in question, but rather a path that the old folks used to walk up the mountain. We kept climbing until all we could see were tall trees around us, and then Soncho pointed to the right. This way. This is the animal trail. There's nothing but lacquer trees out here. Man, and I always get a rash when I touch them. I don't want to go this way. Are you complaining again? You just said before that you were ready. I've got a hunch, and it tells me that it's this way. You've got a hunch? Is that a book or something? I don't really know what that means either. Huh? Looking back on it now, he was using the word the right way. Sorry for laughing at you then, Soncho. Look, you can see animal tracks, right? This is their path. Ah, you're right. There's a path. The old folks don't come out here, so it has to be from the animals. Let's go. If you get separated from me, then you'll die. Those things on your arms are useless. You're already breaking out in a rash. Oh, you're right. There's a rash on the back of my hand. I made a cross there with my fingernail. Now it won't itch for the next hour, I said as I walked beside Soncho. But honestly, I was scared. The curtain of trees blocked most of the sun's rays, and even though it still wasn't even lunchtime yet, it was dark. But if this was an animal path, did that mean we might run into a bear? On that note, my mother did say that bells would keep bears away. I wanted to ask Soncho if he brought one, but I knew he'd make fun of me simply for asking, so I didn't. And as we kept walking, the path got easier to walk on, as though it had been made by people. The soles of my feet don't hurt anymore. Is that the end of the animal path? That's weird. The animal path turned into a regular one. Did the bears give up around here? We didn't know what was going on, but it seemed that really was the end of the animal path. The proof of that was the stone stairs right in front of us. The animal path had ended, but I was actually rather excited. I had no idea what this place was. I'd never heard of it. What was at the top of the stone stairs? All right, I'll race ya. First one to the top is the boss of the mountain. Wait, Soncho, no fair! He didn't even say start, so there was no way I could beat him. And so, Soncho was the boss for the day. But we soon forgot about such insignificant matters as we reached the top of the stone stairs. There was a small shrine there. Maybe it would be better to say a building that resembled a shrine. Vines wrapped all around the shrine gate, making it look like the shrine gate was actually made of plants. After passing through the gate, there were small wooden buildings on either side, and right ahead was the main hall. The paint had completely peeled off, and vines also grew all over the grey building, making it avoid complete erosion. It's the main hall. Soncho, was this always here? How should I know? I doubt even my grandpa would know. And If he doesn't know, then nobody would. Do you know what that means? Yes! This is now our secret base! We high-fived, and then we climbed the stairs of the main hall. The room that enshrined the Kami-sama was surrounded by wooden lattice, but the padlocks were rusty and looked like they might fall apart at any moment. Hey, let's go inside. But it's locked. And that's the Kami-sama's room. You can't go in there. This is our secret hideout. And the Kami-sama don't even exist. Plus, this padlock is nothing. Soncho then yanked it as hard as he could, and the padlock easily snapped. Then he opened the creaky lattice door. No sunlight reached the room. I squinted, but I couldn't see the other end of the room in the darkness. Alright, let's go in. No way. I'm scared and they'll get angry at us. Who will get angry? We're the only people who know this place exists. We're going in. You follow behind me. The room was about 12 tatami mats large. It didn't feel that big, but perhaps my fear made the end of the room feel terribly far away. I think Soncho was scared as well, but he was trying to act brave in front of me. It was dangerous to walk barefoot in the dark. If we stood on a nail, it would be beyond painful. I took one step and then stopped. So this is what it looks like. My eyes aren't used to the dark yet, I muttered, but I just simply wasn't brave enough to go all the way to the end. I can finally see. There's something over there. Soncho, isn't that the Kami-sama? The Kami-sama lives in that wooden box, right? If there aren't even any ghosts here, then there isn't going to be a Kami-sama. Oh, you're such a scaredy cat. Soncho walked with purpose to the wooden box at the other end of the room. Now that I'm older, I know that if it really was a shrine, then it should have housed a mirror and a spear and such. And as an aside, that box would be a yorishiro, which is an object that houses the Kami-sama while they're in this world. But the only thing in that room was that wooden box. Plus, it was on the floor, so it didn't seem like something people worshipped. Soncho, what is that box? I don't know, but there's a hole on top. You want to put your hand in it? No, I'd rather go home. Soncho, we shouldn't be here. We should leave that there too. But Soncho grabbed the wooden box and ran out of the room at full speed. Hey, don't leave me here, Soncho. Come on, we won't know what's in it until we see it under the sun. We went outside and looked at the box again. The top was dyed black, and there was a hole just big enough to fit a hand in. I looked inside, but it was too dark to see anything in there. And even under the sun, I was too scared to put my hand in. Soncho shook the box up and down, and something rattled inside. There's something in here. Let's put it back, Soncho. What if someone sees us? Nobody is going to see us. This is our secret hideout, right? So, which of us is going to put our hand in? Not me. You brought it out here, so you do it. I don't want to do it either. What if there's some bugs in there? If neither of us wants to do it, then we should play rock, scissors, paper to decide. At first I refused, saying I didn't want to do that either. But at times like this, Soncho was terribly stubborn. And so I gave in, and we played rock, scissors, paper to decide. Of course, I lost. It's strange how the more you don't want to lose, the weaker you become at that game. If there's a bug in there, then we're not gonna be friends anymore. If there is, I'll run. Ugh, I hate bugs. Alright, I'm putting my hand in. Hey, do I really have to do this? I lost, so I have to, right? There's something in here. What's this? It's wooden. I pulled my hand out, and I was holding a piece of wood about the size of a kamaboko. Something was written on it in black ink. Kotori asobi. Small bird game? What does that mean? I asked Soncho, but he didn't know either. We didn't learn until later that it didn't say Kotori asobi, but rather Takanashi. It was somebody's surname. Soncho, there's more of these inside. They're all the same. Alright, let me grab one. Oh, this one says Yamaguchi. And so, one by one, we took all the little wooden tablets out. All of them had surnames on them, like Maeda or Sanpei. We put them together on the ground and looked at them, confused. What on earth is this? Oh, I know what they are. They're parishioners. They pay money to the shrine, so they write their names like this to remember who they are. Huh, interesting. Soncho, you really do know a lot, huh? My grandpa said he's a parishioner too, Soncho said proudly. Another thing we later learnt was that because this was a shrine, the correct term was actually shrine parishioner. Soncho, is that everything from inside the box? Hang on. There's still one stuck to the bottom. I can't get it off. Ah! He ripped the final piece out, his arm flinging into the air from the force of it. But this tablet was different to the others. The entire thing was black, like the box, and it had something written in hiragana. Matsudi. Feast? The black piece of wood had Matsudi carved into it. Soncho, is this another of those parishioner things? I don't know. I don't think I was especially scared at the time. Instead, I was rather disappointed we didn't find anything interesting, and the excitement I felt at finding a secret hideout was now fading. There were no bugs, huh? How boring. But don't worry, there are still 2 sheds left. Having said that, Soncho dragged me around to check out the final 2 small buildings. However, they were even more boring than the main building. They weren't even locked, and there was nothing inside. I soon realized it was almost evening, and in an hour or so the sky would be turning red. Of course, we didn't have a clock or anything. This was just something outside kids instinctively knew. We sat on the stone steps leading to the main shrine and looked around. So in the end, all that was here was those parishioner tablets, huh? But we did find a secret base. We can use this for something. Hey, why don't we play Follow the Leader tag? There are lots of places to hide. But we can't play that with just the 2 of us. We'd have to tell other people about this place. Yeah, I don't really want to do that. This is our secret base. When Soncho said that, I was really happy. At the time, I thought he considered me a kind of underling, but it seemed he actually thought of me as a close friend. Oh yeah, we haven't even eaten lunch yet. Soncho, you didn't find any raspberries or anything? Nah, but I did find some mock strawberries. They're too sour to eat though. I'm hungry. Should we go home? Or do you want to look around a little more first? Yeah. Hey, I need to ask you something. I can only ask you about it. What? Look, I'm hungry too. Could you let me eat your hand? My hand? Alright. I'll give you the one without a rash. But only for you. I wouldn't let just anyone eat it. Sorry. I've never eaten a hand before. If it hurts, I apologize. It's fine. We're friends, aren't we? Friends. Soncho, it's the feast, so you can indulge yourself, you know? I was the first to come back to my senses. Feeling a sharp pain in my right hand pulled me back, and Soncho was violently shaking his head as he bit it. No, stop! Soncho, stop it! I'm bleeding! It wasn't like we were suffering from a memory lapse or anything. He very clearly said, "Let me eat your hand." And I had most definitely said he could. And I really did feel that way at the time. I pushed him away, hard, and he fell back from the stone steps and hit his head on the ground. Rubbing his forehead, he looked up at me on the stairs. What the hell? You can at least give me your hand, can't you? It's the feast! Give me your hand! Next thing I knew, he was crying. At the time, I didn't know whether he was crying because of the pain in his head or because he couldn't eat my hand. But in reality, it was neither. Soncho, it hurts. No. Come back, Soncho. Pull yourself together. I was a coward, but at that time, I felt no fear. Rather, I was filled with a sense of duty. I had to bring Soncho back. Maybe because I had also just lost my mind. But seeing blood drip from his head, and my own blood around his mouth, I still wasn't afraid. Soncho! Before I knew it, I was also crying. But with one last shout, Soncho finally came back to his senses. Did I try to eat your hand? Are you back? That wasn't you. You know that, right? Yeah, that wasn't me. But I'm sorry. I tried to eat you. It's fine, Soncho. But, man, my hand hurts. Oh my god, your hand is bleeding everywhere. Wrap it with that sock on your arm. Yeah, but, Soncho, your head is bleeding too. Oh crap, it is. With the two of us back to normal, we intensely felt the pain of our injuries. With the sock I put on my arm when we left, I wrapped my right hand, and Soncho wiped the blood from his forehead with his shirt. This place was dangerous. It was unclear why, but we were both certain of it. We ran under the shrine gate and back to the path we came from. And once we got back to the animal trail, once again, fear washed over us. Hey, what was that shrine? I'm scared. You were no longer you, Soncho. Yeah, but you weren't yourself either. We should go home, quickly. I'm terrified. Hey, Soncho, what did all that about a feast mean? I don't know. Isn't it like a festival or something? You said it yourself, right? It's the feast. Like I said, that wasn't me. One of us, I don't remember who, started running. We were scared. We had no idea what happened to us at that shrine. It was an indescribable fear. Finally, we got back to the mountain entrance and the concrete road. We found the shoes we had taken off on the way, so we knew we were definitely back. Oh, thank goodness. I didn't think we'd be able to come back again. Don't be stupid. I'm here so we'd never get lost. Anyway, make sure you disinfect that hand, okay? You too, Soncho. You gotta disinfect your forehead. Yeah, I know. I'll ask Gramps about the shrine later too. I won't tell him everything that happened though. I doubt he'd believe me anyway. Yeah, I don't think we can use it as a secret hideout either. I'm too scared of it. I don't ever want to go back there again. When we reached the telephone pole where the road split and we had to go our separate ways home, I stopped. Alright, I'll head over to your place tomorrow. Okay, I'll be waiting. Let me ask you one more thing before we go. You are Soncho, right? Idiot. Are you still scared? Of course I'm Soncho. I assure you I really don't want to eat your hand. At that, I was relieved, and we said goodbye. When I got home, my mother was shocked by the injury to my hand. You children really don't know when to stop, huh? She said as she applied antiseptic to the wound. But she was actually angrier about my left hand with the rash. See, I told you those trees would give you a rash. When my father got home from work, I asked both him and my mother about the shrine. A shrine on the mountain? I've never heard of it. Was somebody there? Take me to see it next time you go, my father said. And so I wasn't able to get any information about it. But I was sure that Soncho would dig up something by tomorrow, I thought as I got in the bath. But it turned out that our little excursion wasn't yet over, even though we'd already gone home. 10 a.m. the next day. It wasn't Soncho who came to my house, but his mother. So-and-so-kun. Soncho's real name is in the hospital now. He had an epileptic fit last night and injured himself, so he's been hospitalized. He came home with a head injury, so I thought maybe that caused it, but it seems that wasn't it. He's in his right mind and hasn't said anything strange, but ever since this morning he has been constantly asking for you. That was why she came to see me, it seemed. Of course, it crossed my mind again that maybe Soncho wasn't actually Soncho. I got in his mother's car and we made our way towards the hospital. But if Soncho wasn't himself, what would I do? If he asked to eat my hand again, what would I do? When I entered his hospital room, he was lying in bed with a bandage around his head. Another white one was around his chest. He was the first to speak. Hey. Soncho. I didn't know what to say. Maybe it wasn't actually Soncho speaking. I couldn't look at him lying there in pain like that. Mum, I'd like for us to talk alone, so could you go somewhere for a while? Some son you are, telling your parents to get lost. All right, I'll go get something to drink. Look after my boy, okay? And so it was just Soncho and I in his hospital room. Honestly, I was kinda scared. Are you Soncho? Or that thing from the shrine yesterday? Hey, can you give me your hand to eat? I knew it! I'm kidding! Come on! You're so quick to believe anything. It's me, Soncho. But anyway, did nothing happen to you yesterday? I wouldn't be here if it did. But are you really, really Soncho? You don't want to eat my hand? Why on earth would I want to eat your gross hand? I'd rather eat bugs. They're cleaner. Soncho, It is you, right? Right? What happened to you yesterday? Look, I don't know whether it's okay to tell you this or not. You're a coward, so maybe you'll hate me over it. I asked him why he called me then, and he said it was because he didn't know if he should talk or not. But as we spoke, I became certain that it really was him I was speaking to. Fine, I won't hate you. We're friends, after all. Then I'll tell you. And then he started talking about what happened last night after we parted ways. So I went straight home after we went to that shrine. And when I got home, Ma was real mad. I mean, I was bleeding from my forehead, right? That's why. But anyway, that doesn't matter. As we were all eating dinner, I suddenly started to feel like how I did at the shrine. Like I wasn't me. But my actions, my feelings, my thoughts, they were still coming from me. It was weird. And for some reason, I really wanted to eat my own heart. It's not like I've ever eaten one before, but I couldn't stop thinking about how delicious it was and how I wanted to eat it. So I went to the kitchen, grabbed a knife, and cut my own chest. But once I felt that pain, I suddenly came back to my senses. Ma said I had an epileptic fit, right? That was probably how it looked to them. I listened with my mouth wide open. Soncho tried to eat his own heart. That was why he had a bandage around his chest. For real? You're not just trying to scare me again, are you? For real. That's why you gotta be careful too. Whatever happened to us at the shrine, I don't think it has fully left us yet. Oh, and I asked Gramps about the shrine, but he didn't know anything about it either. He didn't appear to be lying, so I think he really doesn't know. If the village headman doesn't know anything about it, then it's unlikely anyone else would, huh? Seems that way. Then Soncho's mother returned. She was holding 2 bottles of orange juice. We drank them happily. We couldn't freely talk about the shrine in front of her, so once I was done with the juice, I stood up. Well, I'm gonna head home now. As I was leaving the room, Soncho spoke to my back. Hey. We're friends, right? Of course. I let you eat my hand, didn't I? It wasn't like Soncho to speak so timidly, so I responded lightheartedly. You think I can eat something so gross-looking? He replied like his former self. In the car on the way home, I thought about how we hadn't put those wooden tablets with the parishioners' names back. But I didn't feel like going back to that shrine again, so I decided to put it out of my mind. In fact, it wasn't long until I learnt what that Matsudi at the shrine was. But that's a story for another time. On that note, now, Soncho and I both work as teachers at the same school. I wanted to work in my hometown, but there's no school there anymore. Everyone moved out and the area is depopulated. At school, we call each other by our real names, but when we go out drinking, I still call him Soncho. Of course, we're still good friends. Let me continue his story. About a week later, Soncho was discharged from the hospital. I've still got stitches in my chest. Look, right here. Apparently, they have to leave them in for a while. They have to pull those out? That looks painful. But that wound is huge. You really did a number on yourself there. There must have been a lot of blood, right? I remember it pretty well. I just cut it right open. It sure did hurt. He laughed about it like it was a heroic act, saying he remembered it well because he did it to himself. But in reality, the wound was so shallow that he would be able to leave the hospital in just 2 or 3 days. However, his mother feared he might have gone crazy, so they kept him there out of worry. I guess he wasn't hospitalized so much as they wanted to wait and see what would happen next. What an awful mother, right? Talking about her own kid like he might have lost his mind. That's just like your mother. But something like that isn't so easy to just say out loud. The hospital was so boring that I wanted to die. I couldn't even go exploring. If I walked around, the doctors would complain that my stitches would break. That is scary, yeah. We checked the ditches around the rice paddies for crayfish as we chatted. It had been so long since we last hung out that I was pleased as punch. So, about that shrine. Did you learn something? No, I asked Grandma about it as well, but she said she didn't know anything either. I also asked Mum and Dad, but they also didn't know. If your grandparents don't know anything about it, then I doubt anyone does. How much did you tell them? I didn't tell them we went there. I said I heard about it from a friend, like a shrine in the mountains. And it didn't look like Grandpa or Grandma were trying to hide anything either. They didn't tell me to stay away because it's dangerous, or that we should go pay our respects if there's a shrine up there. They really didn't seem to know anything about it. My grandparents are dead, so I can't even ask them about it either. We're boxed in on all sides. Apparently that's a saying, meaning there's nothing we can do now. Ah, yeah, we really are boxed in on all sides. Soncho had only just gotten out of the hospital the day before, so we didn't run around too much. But he also couldn't stand it any longer and said, "Come on, climbing just one tree will be fine." We probably shouldn't have gone to the park. It's nice that you were able to leave the hospital while it's still summer holidays. No, it's not. I can't go in the pool. If I do, I'll die, they said. Ah, yeah. Your chest might rip open or something. We really did have fun that day. I wanted to play until it got dark, but Soncho said his mother wanted him to come home early. So we parted ways well before evening, and I reluctantly went home. Alright, I'll see you tomorrow. Let's play all day. That night, I decided to ask someone unexpected about that shrine. Dad was home from work early, so we all ate dinner together, and Mum even drank a bit and got a little tipsy. Dad went to bed early, and then my younger brother went to bed too. It was just my mother and I in the tea room. I watched TV while she drank some homemade plum brandy. Hey, massage my shoulders. Why? I'm not a kid anymore. Just do it. I'm exhausted. Please. Well, you are drunk. Fine, but just this one time. Normally I'd refuse her request, but I was feeling pretty good after hanging out with Soncho all day, so I started hitting her shoulders. And, as I did, I casually asked her a question. Hey, is there a shrine up on that mountain? This was my second time asking her. The first time she said she didn't know, so I wasn't expecting much. On the mountain? I doubt it. I've never heard of one. I wonder. That's what I thought too. One of my friends said something about it though. If so, then we'd have to pay it a visit sometime. Should I tell you a scary story about that mountain? It's a story about the Matsudi. I doubt you've heard it before. I jumped and stopped hitting her shoulders. Matsuri? About the Matsuri? Hey, make sure you hit my shoulders properly. Ah, sorry. What type of story? The Matsudi? Like at a temple festival or something like that? What would be scary about that? I heard this story from my great-grandfather. So, your great-great-grandfather. I pretended to be calm while I hit her shoulders, but inside, my heart was pounding. She didn't know about a shrine, but she knew about the Matsuri at that shrine. So, what's the story? It really is scary. I've never told you it because you're still young and quite the scaredy cat. But next year you'll already be in junior high, huh? So don't freak out and listen until the very end. You don't have to hit my shoulders anymore. When she said that, I moved to sit opposite her at the tea table. I don't know how my face looked at the time. Normally, my mother would notice how scared I was, but she was pretty drunk, so I was able to hear the story. Let me just say, right off the bat, this story is pretty bad. If I had told your younger brother, he would 100% cry his eyes out. So you mustn't tell it to him for fun, okay? It's a little hard to retell it well, writing it down like my mother's talking, so let me write it down as a story in my own words. Long ago, there was a village chief in our village by the name of Matsudi. Well, more precisely, they didn't call him that, but rather, his entire household was known as the Matsudi clan. And in addition to governing the land, this clan had one other role they carried out. They were what we would now call funeral directors. Whenever someone died, they would hold a ceremony so that they could pass on to the other side. That's why they were called the Matsudi. It didn't represent just the festival meaning of the word, but also the meaning of enshrining or worshipping as well. One day, Matsudi's eldest son suddenly died. They didn't know why. He was strong, healthy, popular, and due to become the next village chief. But his father, the current chief, was unable to accept his son's death. He loved his eldest son more than life itself. But still, they were the Matsudi clan, and so they had to hold a funeral for the eldest son. As he applied makeup to his son, who had turned more and more pale after death, the grieving father then did something unbelievable. He ate his own son. I don't know whether he boiled or cooked him or ate him raw, but either way, he ate all of him and didn't even try to hide it. Then he gathered his entire family to speak to them. You have no idea how delicious human flesh is. Arms, legs, the belly, the chest, even the face is delicious. However, there is nothing as deliciously delicate as the heart. Nothing. I have consumed my son's life force, but now it lives on inside me. I can feel it. You too should eat, and you will also clearly feel my son's soul live on inside you. Many were shocked at Matsudi's actions, but he wasn't the only one saddened by the young man's death. First, the young man's mother, then his wife, younger sister, younger brother, and even his children consumed his flesh. And they too all said, "You have no idea how delicious human flesh is. Arms, legs, the belly, the chest, even the face is delicious. However, there is nothing as deliciously delicate as the heart. Nothing." And so, the Matsudi clan then decided they would eat the remains of those who died after that, as a family. But they never killed anyone to do it. Other than the eating of dead flesh, they were otherwise perfectly sane. And when someone in the village died, they even recommended their family members consume the body, rather than they themselves. At first, the villagers found it creepy. But when they saw how young, energetic, and robust the Matsudi clan were after eating the dead, they also began to do the same. Those who had been ill suddenly got better. The young men grew large and strong. The young women became more beautiful, and the elderly became youthful. It wasn't just the Matsudi clan anymore, but rather the entire village that began to think this way. I will receive the life force of the dead. The best way to do that is to consume the heart. There is simply nothing better. Even if they did not consume the limbs, everyone took part in eating the heart. But this custom didn't last long. One family, or rather a clan, moved to the village from somewhere else. And once this clan saw the villagers had a custom of eating the dead, they declared, "It is a curse to kill the dead once more. To consume the life force of someone trying to ascend to heaven is unconscionable. There is no greater sin. This is the work of demons." To give up this madness was the only answer, and the villagers who had been ripping open the chests of the dead to eat their hearts gradually felt too guilty to continue. But the Matsudi clan alone refused to stop. They had seen off too many of the dead. Those words were meaningless to them. How much time passed? In any case, this new clan that moved to the village gained the trust of the other villagers, and eventually replaced the Matsudi clan as their leaders. And the Matsudi clan, who never stopped eating the dead, at some point disappeared from the land. At this point, my mother stopped to catch her breath. Well, scary, right? What, so they're a family who eat the dead? No way. But look at you, shaking in fear. Well, do you want to hear the rest? The rest? You mean there's more? It's not over yet. This is where it gets real good. And so she continued. The clan that replaced the Matsudi as leaders of the land were the Oni clan. The Oni clan were skilled at deceit, and no villager dared oppose them. The Oni clan then brought with them a black box and said, "The blood of the terrifying Matsudi clan remains in this village. This is an enchanted box that can sniff it out. Inside, the family names of all within this village have been written on sacred wood, and with these, we can uncover those who share Matsudi blood. And those who share the strongest link shall be killed." The Oni clan then took a piece of wood out of the box, and everyone who shared that surname was taken to the nearby mountain. Before the day was out, those villagers returned, but one of them had disappeared. According to those who came back, the Oni clan had built a mansion in the mountains, and there, one by one, they were made to pull a piece of wood out of another black box. The person who drew the black piece of wood, the same as the box, was considered to have the strongest Matsudi blood, and that person had to stay behind while everyone else returned to the village. The villagers weren't stupid. They realized what was going on. The Oni clan didn't eat the dead. They ate people while they were still alive. and the Matsudi clan that had disappeared, they had been eaten by the Oni clan. And so, the black box custom came to be feared as something they called the Omatsuri, or feast. Whenever disaster struck the village, the Oni clan would claim it was because of the Matsuri and pull out the black box. And when a typhoon hit the villagers muttered that the feast is going to happen again. My mother sighed and poured some plum wine into her cup. The end. The end? What kind of ending is that? Are you scared? It's not that, but the story didn't have an ending. It's not over yet. How am I supposed to sleep if the story isn't done yet? But that's what makes it so good. Now you're too scared to go up the mountain, right? This story was created by grown-ups to keep kids from climbing the mountain. It's dangerous up there, and there aren't any concrete paths or anything either. Your great-grandfather told me that same story. He said the Oni's mansion is up there, and if I go up there, they'll eat me. And sure enough, I couldn't sleep a wink that night. I lay in bed thinking. Not all of that story was true. It couldn't be. After all, it wasn't a mansion up there, but a small shrine. There were clear differences in that story compared to what happened to Soncho and I as well. Unable to stand it any longer, the next morning I ran to Soncho's house. "It's not like you to come over here," he said. "Soncho, I know what happened at that shrine and about the feast. Not everything, but enough." I told him what my mother had told me. I hadn't slept and I wasn't very good at telling stories to begin with, but he listened in silence until I was done. "Is that all true?" "I dunno. Mum said that my great-grandfather told it to her as a fairy tale, but I don't think it is. I mean, yeah, something's not right." Right. What we experienced and what happened in Mum's story were slightly different. There was only one box, not two, and inside there was a piece of wood with "feast" on it. I didn't know why Soncho tried to eat my hand either. Did that mean the person who pulled that piece of wood was the person who had to eat? I wonder why there were small buildings to the left and right of that shrine. I don't know. There's still a lot left unexplained in that story. I'll ask Gramps about it when he gets home today. Not about the shrine, but about the feast. Okay. That's all my mother knows, but the village head might know more. And also, Soncho, you might have forgotten since you were in the hospital, but we left that black box out, right? "Oh, we did. We didn't put it away." "I wonder if it's okay like that." "I don't think it is. It's scary, but we can't leave it out. We have to put it away, or we'll be cursed." "You want to go there again?" "No way. That place is terrifying." "Are you really gonna go, Soncho?" "I don't want to go either. But if we don't, then we'll probably be eaten by the Oni." I couldn't say there was no way that would happen. Considering what had happened to us up until that point, and my mother's story, then maybe Soncho was still in danger. "If you're going, then I'm going too." "Of course. Did you plan on making me go alone?" We decided to go that very same day and started walking towards the mountain. Soncho still had stitches in his chest, and my right hand was still scabbed from where he bit me. "Soncho, did you get new shoes? They're cool." Yeah, Mum bought them. But my old ones were better. These aren't the right size. Well, we're not barefoot today, so it shouldn't hurt. That was dangerous. My feet got cut up pretty bad. Mine too. We passed through the animal trail and then reached the stone stairs. Soncho, I'm scared. Me too. But remember, last time we were here, we didn't see any monsters or kami-sama or oni or anything, so there's no reason to be afraid. It felt like he wasn't just saying that for my benefit, but his own as well. As we climbed the stone steps, the same vine-covered shrine gate from last time appeared. Yep, this is the shrine. It didn't disappear. You're terrible with directions, so you would have never found it if I wasn't here with you. If we get separated, you'll probably die. Well, I wouldn't come here alone. It's too scary. To the left and right were the small buildings, and the main shrine building straight ahead. But all the small pieces of wood that should have been scattered on the ground were gone. The black box, too. It's not here, Soncho. Did someone take it? No way. Nobody would want something like that. But it really has disappeared. Do you think it was the Oni? You're the one who gets scared of everything, so why are you saying such things? Do you want to be scared? I'm saying it because I'm scared. Maybe the Oni took it. I looked around the small buildings and the main building as well, but I couldn't find a single piece of wood from the box. Soncho, what should we do? There's still one place we haven't checked yet. No! Are you going to go inside again? In that dark room? We still hadn't searched inside the main building. Maybe the box was back in there. We have to check. Do you have a light? No. Soncho, if you come running again like last time, I won't forgive you. Idiot. I'm too scared to do that. And then we went into the dark, dark main building. I knew it! The box! No doubt about it. That's the box. Soncho, I'm scared. This place is scary. Why did someone put it back? I don't know. Let's get out of here. Soncho and I ran away as fast as we could, and we didn't stop until we hit the animal trail again. That was terrifying. What? Soncho? Are you crying? Yeah, I'm crying. You're crying too. Huh, I am crying. We stopped walking. Soncho didn't feel like Soncho anymore. I didn't feel like myself either. Soncho? Idiot. I'm just crying because I'm scared. Quick, let's get off this mountain. When we got back to the concrete path, Soncho and I looked back up at the mountain. I don't think I'm gonna ask Gramps about the feast thing anymore. Yeah, it's probably better that we don't know. In the end, parts of that old story my mother told me weren't true, but it wasn't entirely a lie either. Either way, we were too scared to look any further into it. Hey, Soncho? What? Do you want to go to the festival in the next town over the day after tomorrow? Alright, I'll get your katanuki needle ready too. They got angry at you last year when they saw you brought your own. You have to use the ones the stalls give you. Are you still going on about that? Look, here's the thing. What? Ah, I forgot. Another saying the adults have. What are you on about? I'm looking forward to the festival. Yeah, I hope it's sunny. A massive thank you and shout out to this week's Kami tier members, Ella C, Emerald and Kenneth Kawamoto. It's thanks to your support, along with everyone else, that I'm able to keep doing this show, so thank you very much. Don't forget to check out Kaihan, Bizarre Crimes That Shook Japan Volume 2, out on Amazon right now. And check out our merchandise store at kowabana-shop.fourthwall.com. And if you'd like to chat about this week's stories, come and join us in the Kowabana Discord. You can find that link in the description or on kowabana.net. You can also check out our Patreon at patreon.com/TaraADevlin for exclusive bonus stories and extras, or our YouTube channel at youtube.com/KowabanaJapan for all sorts of Japanese horror you won't find anywhere else. Thanks guys, stay safe, and I'll see you again next time for even more Kowabana, true Japanese scary stories from around the internet. Want even more scary stories? Head over to kowabana.net for new translations every week. You can also join our Patreon for exclusive stories you won't find anywhere else. Head over to kowabana.net now.